some recording again. What's up, y'all? Welcome, welcome. I am the OG Millennial. The OG Millennial. This right here is Millennial Nation Worldwide, coming at you live, even though it's an updated video, right? It's going to be a video. I want you guys to like, comment, and subscribe to Millennial Nation Worldwide, right? And you can find me at O_G_Millennial on Instagram and Facebook. And check out the content. It's a new little thing we're starting off here. Not just for the millennials, it's for everyone. You know, we're inviting all of you Gen X and Gen Zers, you baby boomers, and even alphas. We're going to do a little bit of talking about some wrestling, right? Millennial Nation, right? At some point in life, you've probably seen a wrestling match, right? Probably from your youth. Maybe a little bit more recently with some of the new stuff that's been happening. But ultimately, we got this thing called AEW, and we got this thing called WWE. I'm going to try and focus on this segment. And with this segment, I want to focus primarily on just WWE Raw and AEW Dynamite. And the reason why is because these are the only two wrestling shows that I consistently watch weekly. Despite them having other shows like SmackDown and Collision and NXT, I have to pay for other stuff in order to watch that content. And so I'm not really doing that right now because I'm not seeing too much exciting content being put out by those particular shows. But with WWE Raw being on Netflix and with AEW being on TNT, I think that I could give a good little commentary on those particular two. So we're going to be doing talks about AEW Dynamite and its show in its whole. And we're going to be talking about WWE Raw and that show in its whole. And then we're going to try and do a comparison, right? I want to get your guys' opinions on what you think is better, right? So there are a lot of other podcasters out there, right, giving their opinions on wrestling. I listen to a lot of them. My number one is Jim Cornette. I also like to listen to Busted Open and JD from New York, right? These guys got pretty good content. I got a lot of followers. Check them out. But I want to give you my opinion. And I'm not going to get into super detail. I'm going to actually kind of gloss over it quickly. But if there's anything that stood out to you guys, you know, chime in, let me know. Give me your thoughts on these shows if you watch these shows. And I'll try and provide a little bit of insight to the matches for those who don't watch. So you can kind of picture what's going on. And who knows, maybe it might be something that will draw you back into the wrestling community. So I definitely want to say that it's going to be a thing where we break it down into segments, right? What I want to do is break it down into 4 particular segments, right? And I wrote it down just so I can have a proper format, right? We're going to go with the I heard moment, right? This is going to be the moment where you actually hear the crowd. You can hear the crowd's excitement and participation in the show, right? One of those things where it's undeniable, right? You can't help but say, hey, I heard that, and they heard that, right? And we're going to follow it up with the classic bullshit moment because there's a lot of BS happening out there, but there's also glorious stuff, right? So we're going to have the glorious mid-card, right? The little redeeming factor. And then we'll close it out with an actual main event. You know, we'll do WWE's main event for Dynamite versus, all right, for Raw. Yeah, there we go. We'll do WWE Raw's main event versus AEW's main event. Yeah, main event versus main event. Bam, and then we'll have a straight up challenge, right? And then what do you think is better? AEW, did they win? Or WWE? So we're going to start it off now. And with the segment starting, basically, the I heard moment, I think, for AEW probably was the loudest during the MJF and Adam Page promo. Like, anytime you hear this guy MJF's music, you hear the crowd go crazy. And it's normally with hatred, but it's also with fun and excitement, right? Like, they want to hear what this guy has to say. And his back and forth that he's had with this adversary, Adam Page, it's building up a little bit of excitement and makes you kind of want to watch it a little bit more. And then for, it's kind of the same thing for the WWE. For them, it was another pop, but for them, it was CM Punk. You know, you could tune into Monday Night Raw and catch a CM Punk segment or match, and every time you see him walk out from behind the stage, the crowd goes absolutely ballistic, right? As soon as they drop that song, Cult of Personality, as soon as that revs up, you know that the crowd is getting ready to participate 100%, and you can't help but to hear them, you know? So if I had to choose a winner between the two, I probably would have given it up to Adam Page and MJF, because it was a good promo, you know, as opposed to CM Punk coming out and he kind of like did a little thing with the Judgment Day. Somewhat exciting, but at the same time kind of distracting with everything else that was going on, you know. But if I were to move on to like the BS moment of these two particular shows, right? Like AEW had a tag match between two English guys and a small guy and a old guy, right? And it was a pretty interesting match because of the dynamic, right? You got these two guys who are like brawlers from England going up against this little small guy named Orange Cassidy and this older Japanese legend named Tomo Ishii, right? And it was kind of a BS match because I'm not a super fan of Orange Cassidy. He just seems too small to be doing this professionally. But the older guy got hurt, right? And he's a guy who's at least in his 50s, probably closer to 60s, still trying to keep his name alive, you know. And sometimes I feel like people like that need to just go on ahead and call it quits before you get injured. And that's what happened. The guy got injured, and now he's going to be on the sidelines for who knows how long. I think it was a hip injury. Maybe it was a tricep or the thigh, right? Yeah, thigh. So that was that for the AEW. And then for the WWE's bullshit moment, right? They normally have a lot of these because there's so much talking, especially backstage and whatnot, that it's easy to call BS on a lot of this stuff, right? But for me, it was the opening, man. I did not like the opening at all. Like the way they cut off the Usos, and then the Vision started talking with Paul Heyman, and then LA Knight came out. That was kind of like interesting and whatnot, but the way they transitioned into the opening match, I'm like, nah, this isn't for me. Like you guys killed it by having all these different people come out, but more importantly, now they're all out here, and obviously they're going to be out here for a match, and next thing you know, hey, what do you know? We got a match, right? And so moments like that I think are kind of BS. So those would be the two for AEW, that tag match between the two English guys, and then Orange Cassidy and Tomo Ishii, and followed by the WWE opening promo with all those people out there yapping. So you guys definitely chime in and tell me what you think. Give me your thoughts on those two so far, right? And you could like, comment, and subscribe to this page on YouTube. You know, we're looking at Millennial Nation Worldwide on the YouTubes, right? You can find me on Instagram as well and Facebook. What we're gonna do now is we're gonna go into the little glorious mid-card, right? This was the middle of the show, something that kind of drew me back in from my boredom at times, right? Like for AEW, I think that it was definitely the Luchador, yeah, that's what it was. The Luchador Mortos, I believe is his name, from CMLL, and Kevin Knight, right? This young black guy, super athletic. They had a really good match. And I think that the best part of that match was the fact that they kind of like, oh, that's my phone. Hold on a second. Let me turn this phone down real quick. Getting a call. What's up, baby? I love you, but I need you to not call me right now because we are in the middle of this. All right, let's see. Little distraction. This is live right now, so you guys get the pleasure of an interruption from the missus, right? So we're gonna try to do this. Doing camera and camera, right? Doing camera and camera. This is for the 1 minute playbacks for those of you guys who are new to this streaming service like I am, right? New to this streaming service, we want to figure out ways on how we could try and get the max content, right? I want to put out like a 5 to 10 minute video that's gonna go straight to YouTube, that you can find at Millennial Nation Worldwide, right? Millennial Nation Worldwide on the YouTubes, and the same thing on Instagram. So you definitely go there, like, subscribe, leave a comment if you want. We could chit chat, but yeah, I just think that the glorious moment on the mid card again was the Beast Mortos versus Kevin Knight. It was very active, and the crowd came alive for the Mortos, right? Even though he was a bad guy, he's a bigger guy who's doing some pretty athletic moves, you know. flying through the ropes and doing spins and stuff like that. And I got to give it up to AJ Lee and Becky Lynch on WWE side with the promo that they had. Like that definitely, when they came out there and started talking, it drew my attention back to the show and kind of perked me up a little bit. I listened to everything they had to say, right? And so I definitely give them credit there in trying to keep the crowd interactive and engaged. Bam. It's a little tricky tongue twister right there for you. But to go into the main event, right? Like, you go to the main event of these two companies. WWE Raw put out a triple threat match with Gunther, Dirty Dominic Mysterio, and a young guy named Javon Evans. And this is for an opportunity to go into the Elimination Chamber, which is the upcoming pay-per-view. And it was a pretty good match, pretty exciting overall. There was nothing ultimately that stood out. I believe Javon Evans won the match. This was a few days ago. It's kind of slipping my mind right now. That's kind of how unimpactful it was, right? Like, I don't even remember who won that match off the top of my head. But if you ask me who won out of Swerve Strickland and Kenny Omega, I could tell you a little bit more definitively who won that match, right? So, as the main event for AEW was Swerve Strickland versus Kenny Omega. And man, there was crazy action that happened there. You guys got to check it out if you haven't seen it. You know, go back and see those highlights on the AEW channel and stuff. But man, Swerve Strickland, dude, he put Kenny Omega through that table with that crazy move at the end. Man, what's up with that? Man, was that something that was like supposed to happen, or did he really like intend to drop this motherfucker on his head through an announce table the way he did, right? So I'm gonna leave that up to you guys, and you guys decide whether or not Swerve Strickland is intentionally trying to end this guy Kenny Omega's career or not, right? So it's interesting to see where they're going to go with this. It's interesting to see if Kenny Omega is going to be on the shelf and how long he's going to be on the shelf for. I think if I gave the overall gold medal, right, who won the main event, I would give it to AEW on this one. They did a lot of moves, but the storyline that they got going on between Kenny Omega and Swerve Strickland, and Swerve Strickland's stance on is he good or is he bad, you know, like. They're diving in on that, and I like that. I liked it a lot more than the triple threat match that they had on the other program. WWE Raw has talent, and they got the money to push a good product, but there's not a lot of wrestling. And when there is wrestling, it's normally not super great wrestling. So that's just my opinion, though. In my opinion, the OG millennial opinion, I would give the win to AEW Dynamite over WWE Raw this week. Again, the thing that stands out the most, you know, Becky Lynch versus AJ Lee, talking trash to each other. It's great content. MJF talking trash to anybody is great content. I think that Kenny Omega and Swerve Strickland definitely put on a show. And I think that show was better than Gunther, Dominic Mysterio, and Javon Evans. So I'm going to give the win to AEW Dynamite this week. Congratulations, guys. If you guys thought that they won, chime in. If you guys think WWE put on a better show this week, let me know. And, you know, we could talk about it in a way that's uplifting. You know, we ain't going to tear anybody down. We're going to give everybody equal opportunity here on Millennial Nation Worldwide, right? So definitely just wanted to throw that plug out there. Again, you know, you can find me also on the Instagram and Facebook at O_G_millennial. And that'll be it for the content right now. I think that definitely check out YouTube because you can see the whole video. A lot of these clips I'm doing here are on the phone like right now. This is like going to be like a 1 minute, 15-second clip, right? So you can get the clips here on the Instagram and Facebooks, but mostly check out the YouTube page. We're looking to build content, right? Millennial Nation Worldwide. Peace, man. Definitely appreciate you guys, and be safe out there.